Hello. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be able to share this training with you. I've been working super hard on making it just the most jam-packed full of value for you, I hope. So I'm so excited for you to get into how to get started in finding your thing in 5 key steps. Just a real quick bit about me. I was in a job where I felt quite misaligned, disconnected, and just sort of a little bit lost in terms of the work that I was doing and how that connected to me. I had a really good job where I was feeling really busy and productive and learning lots and enjoying it, but it just felt like there was something missing for me. Essentially, my head and my heart just didn't feel like they were aligned. My head was really full with lots of awesome information and learning, but my heart just felt a little bit on the empty side. I don't know if you guys can relate. But essentially, this feeling led to me taking a risk on this big, new, awesome opportunity that was thrown my way. And what ultimately led to me embarking on this big rabbit hole of research into what drives fulfillment in the work we do, and essentially purpose-driven work. And I guess this was most important to me because I know that, the research shows that more than 80% of us aren't engaged in the work we do. So we aren't actually connected and inspired by the work that we do. And I think that's pretty sad given how much time we spend at work. It's, more than 80% of our day, more than 80% of our week, and I guess it ends up being more than 80% of our lives. So I feel like it's something that is worth getting right. And I guess I had also seen a lot of, sort of friends and family also struggling with similar work motivation issues and, coming home at the end of the day and just looking sort of worn out and tired rather than, energized and inspired. So by the end of my research, all I wanted to do was to be able to share this with others. And yeah, essentially I learned that people who work with purpose and who find a cause that they care about to work towards are more fulfilled, they're happier, they're more confident, they're more motivated, they're more productive, and they're even more likely to be promoted into leadership positions, which is pretty awesome. And they're even healthier, which was definitely the case for me. So people who work with purpose are found to have less anxiety and less depression. And I actually found that once I found my thing in coaching and helping others connect with their true passion and purpose, I really noticed a decrease in stress and anxiety for myself as well. And I also just noticed that when I sort of locked onto finding my thing, I just felt this sort of constant buzzing of energy through me, this constant buzzing of energy and excitement, and I guess just this sense of sort of peace and balance. And yeah, I guess what that led to was I knew I had to go and do my coaching qualification. So I finished my professional associate certificate through the International Coach Federation. Gosh, that's a mouthful. And I've now had the honour of being able to coach tons of people in being able to help them find a career and a life that they love, which is awesome. And I guess just so many of our natural wants and desires are often squished as we sort of come into the corporate world, and we're sort of often pushed in a direction which we haven't really thought too long and hard about. We come out of uni and often we are either, searching for a job that makes good money or a job title that sounds cool, or we're trying to make the parents happy. And often we don't get that chance to really think about what it is that we actually want. And so if someone was to actually ask us the question, what do you want? We often don't even really know, because our sort of intrinsic wants and desires have often sort of been squished during that development process. But I know that we all have a thing. We all have that thing where our, unique blend of strengths and wants and experiences and talents all come together. And I want to help you guys find yours, because when you find it, it's pretty bloody cool. So who is this training for? Essentially, anyone who is feeling like their head and their heart aren't completely aligned in the work that they're doing. Anyone who's sick of doing things for others and they want to do something that actually makes their heart happy. Or anyone with 1,000,001 ideas for particular different directions that they could take, but they're not sure which one is going to be the right one for them and actually keep them fulfilled long term. Or anyone who loves their job, but maybe they just feel like they were destined for something more, like they could be doing something more with their lives. Or anyone going through a bit of a crossroads, so trying to choose, which path is going to be the right one for them, particularly if maybe you're a new mama or a new papa and you've got a little bit of extra time on your hands, probably not a whole heap of extra time, but you've got maybe these snippets or pockets of time in the day where you've got this little bit of energy and creativity that you'd love to point towards a particular direction or a particular project, and you're trying to find what that project could be for you. Yeah, if any of these sound like you, then this training is going to be perfect to get you started in finding your thing. So it's a small snippet of the full Unearthed program. So the Unearthed program uncovers that thing that you were made for in this world. And in the Unearthed program, I'll sort of walk you through and hold your hand through the whole process and find your really personalized solution that works for you. But for this training, I wanted to get you thinking and open your mind to what your thing could be. I've put a few people through the Unearthed program now, and it's pretty awesome. They have come out with these absolutely incredible aha moments for what they want to do with their lives. Different business ideas, different career routes, sometimes even side businesses. So they've been able to keep their main job and do a little bit of something on the side. And by the end of it, you can literally see them bouncing with energy and excitement because they just want to get their dream going and they just want to get it on the road. So it's awesome to see. So let's jump into the training. I'm just going to change my screens over, and in the meantime, I would love you to grab a piece of paper, and that is going to help you get the most value out of this training. So yes, please grab a piece of paper right now. That's all you need, just a piece of paper and a pen. And the first thing that I want you to do is, so step number 1 is identify your passions. And what I would love you to do is draw 3 big circles, crossing over like a beautiful Venn diagram. And the first one you're going to label as passions. So what do you love? What do you enjoy? Your passions are those things that they naturally light up your brain. They naturally make your heart beat a little bit just faster and give you that natural energy and excitement. So what do you enjoy? I'm going to throw a few questions at you to help you think in a few different directions, because you might have those passions that you kind of know off the top of your head and you haven't really thought too long and hard about them. But there might be some hidden ones which sort of challenge you to think in a different way about what really draws out your energy in this world. So what do you love doing outside of work when no one is around? And what do you find yourself talking about whenever you get the chance? Like, what are those topics that make your ears prick up across the dinner table when someone, starts talking about a particular topic? I mean, the one for me is psychology, motivation, behavior, and just people and what drives people. And if I hear anything to do with that talked about at the end of the dinner table, then I can't help but squidging my little ear over towards that side. So maybe, is there something like that similar for you that you can't help but feel yourself drawn towards? And thinking in a bit of a different direction, towards your weekly work week. In a typical week, when you look at your calendar, all those things that you've got scheduled for the week, what are those things that you really look forward to, or those things that energize you and excite you when you look towards them? And even better, if you could actually design your job with no restrictions and no limitations, what would your like dream job look like? How would you build your day and your week in a way that would just absolutely blow your mind? And here's a tricky one for you, and it really gets you thinking about what it is that you love the most. If you only had 3 hours to work on absolutely anything that you wanted in a week, what would you spend those 3 hours on? So you've only got 3 hours. What would you dedicate those hours towards working on? And one lucky last question for you is reflecting back on life, perhaps to when you were a child. What are those areas of interest that you've always had a bit of a passion for? What are those things that when you're a kid you just found yourself working away on, maybe as a form of play, when you were younger? I mean, when I was writing this this workbook, I actually it made me laugh because it reminded me when I was a kid, I used to create workbooks for my friends, and I used to play teacher and tell them what to do and make them fill out the workbooks. So I guess that's showing a bit of my bossy side. But yes, the lucky things got to hang out with me. But that just shows that that's always been something that has been a bit of a passion for me when I was younger. So maybe you can reflect on something similarly for you. Was there that thing that you were still doing when you were a kid? Okay, so step number 1 was passions. I hope you've got a few sort of running through your mind for that. Step 2 is potential. So what are you awesome at? These are your skills and your strengths. So those areas that you just have that natural strength for. And the reason it's so important to get really clear on what your strengths are is because when you put your strengths to work, they make you feel more confident, more energized, and generally more powerful, compared to investing time in your weaknesses, which can really sap your energy, and they're just kind of not what your brain was designed for. So if you double down on your strengths, then you'll instantly be winning. So what are you good at? Do you know what you're good at? I mean, I know I asked my husband this question, and he actually said if someone asked him the question as to what he's good at, he'd have absolutely no idea. And this kind of surprised me because I thought that it was something that that everyone knew about. But then it reminded me that I guess I have been in the HR recruitment sort of leadership development world for almost over 10 years now. And so we kind of live and breathe, strengths analyses and personality surveys and, interview questions around strengths. So it's just one of those things that's always been at the forefront of my mind. And I guess I've got a real knack for being able to pick out what people are really good at and helping them develop that in order to move forward in the best way. So if you don't have a clear idea as to what your strengths are, I would really recommend getting or building your self-awareness around that area. And there's a few different areas or a few different exercises that you can go through to help you develop your strengths awareness. So first one is go and do a personality assessment. So there's a few free ones online. The free ones are okay. They'll give you an idea as to your strengths, but there's some much better ones out there which will give you a much better idea of what your strengths are. And if you want me to tee you up with any of those, just yell out. I've got a couple of great tools for that. But another sort of even more, I guess, value add exercise that you can do is actually ask others, so maybe some friends and family, as to what they think your strengths are. Because often others have a better idea, of us than we do. So you can, send them an email or a text or give them a call and just say, I'm doing this strengths awareness exercise that Emma, that Bossy Boots, has told me to do. And I just want to ask, what do you think I'm good at? And you might get some quite surprising answers. I know I did this exercise with my girlfriends, the Lucky Ducks, once again. And even though, I've been doing so much of this stuff for so long, I actually got back some really surprising and eye-opening answers back from them. So I found it a really, really useful exercise. So I'd really recommend that. And I guess some other questions to get you thinking is, what are those strengths that others always acknowledge in you? So what do people come to you for? When there might be those calls that you always get when someone's in a bit of a pickle or they need some advice. What do people call you for? What advice do they ask you for? Because I think that'll start to give you a bit of a clue as to what your strengths are, because people just, naturally gravitate towards you for something in particular that you're pretty good at. And lucky last one is, when you've got a few of those strengths written down, I want you to reflect on which ones, when you get to use them and put them to work, which ones give you energy, which ones naturally light you up and make you feel happy and excited. And which ones would you love to master? Like, which ones would you love to get absolutely awesome at, and that you'd be comfortable getting out of your comfort zone in order to develop them further, because you just love to be absolutely awesome at them, or even the best in the world at that particular area. So maybe just do some underlines under those. So that's step 2, potential, or your strengths. So we've got passions, we've got potential, and the third one is purpose. So this is the big question. What's your why? What's that thing that drives you? I mean, why do you do what you do? I think it's a really hard question, but I really think it's the most important one, and it takes time to get close to. But once you find it, and once you get a bit of clarity as to what drives you to pursue the directions that you take, or what makes you do what you do, it can be this really, I guess, aligning force that helps you make decisions when things get a bit hazy and unclear, and when you're feeling a bit lost and confused. It's that thing that can always bring you back. It's like your North Star, or that guiding light when I guess you just feel a little bit off track. And I think one of the other reasons that this is so important is, if you don't have a sort of a clear why or a driver, when things get tricky in your business or your career, then often, if you don't know why you're doing it, you're more likely to want to just throw in the towel. But if you do have clarity on it, then it's that thing that pulls you back, and your why becomes bigger than the obstacle that you're facing. I hope that makes sense. So I wanted to get you started on thinking about what your why could be, or what your driver is, with a pretty handy little exercise. And so maybe flip over your piece of paper, and if you could just draw out a table with the headings problem, why, change, and benefit. And so I want you to think about, what is something in the world that you think is broken today? What's a problem in the world, or a problem even just in your, friendship group, or in your community, or in your city, or whatever, that you think is broken and that you would love to solve. And if you had the power to solve that, what would it be? And under that why column, I want you to think about, why do you care? Why is this a problem that even gets to you? You know, how does it affect you? Like, why is it something that matters to you? And then under the, sorry, my screen has just come off there. And under the third column, under change, I want you to think about, if you could change that for the better, how would you change it? How would you solve that problem? And under the benefit column, I want you to think about, why is that change better? So what benefit would that lead to? I'll give you a quick example to help you understand as to how it all flows. So I guess something that grinds my gears or makes me a little bit angry or frustrated is when I see people pursuing career directions or jobs purely for extrinsic factors or external reasons, as opposed to what drives them and makes them happy on the inside. So if people are pursuing things just because it makes good money, or just because the role title kind of sounds cool, or it's an industry that sounds cool, or just to make the parents happy, or just to impress their friends, so those kind of external factors. And this matters to me because I know that money and status and, impressing others with a cool job doesn't make you happy long term. And in the long term, it actually drives that sense of emptiness and sometimes even depression and anxiety. And how I would like to change things for the better is, I believe people should pursue what lights their heart on fire and their soul on fire, and do things for themselves and not for others. And why I think this is better is because if everyone was, pursuing what made them happy on the inside, they would just be more contented, more fulfilled. They would just be happy and at peace individuals. And I think that would make the world a pretty beautiful little place to be, if we had everyone pursuing their jobs and their careers and their businesses, doing something that actually makes their heart feel full. So that's my example, but I could have gone on a bit of a tangent there, but I'll hold myself back. So maybe you can jot down a few ideas as to what those problems are in the world that kind of grind your gears. I mean, yours could be more along the environmental route, or about government. Maybe that you think the education system's broken, or you hate waste, or something to do with the outdoors, or maybe to do with mental health. What are those things that just make you angry? All right, step number 4 is find that sweet spot. So this is where your purpose, potential, and your passions cross over and come together in the most beautiful, awesome way. So if you can find that sweet spot, that's going to be the thing that just bloody drives you and energizes you and fulfills you every day. It can be a real tricky part to find, and this is the part where I really sit side by side with my clients and help them nut out a solution or a personalized answer that really works for them based on their 3 Ps. But for this training, I want you to think about, how could you solve the problem that you care about, doing something that you love and using your strengths in the process. So looking at that problem, how can you solve that problem? Doing something that you just love every day and that energizes you, and using your strengths. Because if you can pursue those 3 things all in one, then that is going to be your thing. That is going to be the thing that lights you up and drives you, and where you're going to be able to make the biggest impact and help the world in the process, which would be pretty awesome as well. Another thing you can do is, like, to help you, I guess, think outside the square or think outside the box is called the Wildcard 20 exercise. And that's where you just like scribble down 20 different ways that you could potentially solve the problem that you're thinking of, or 20 different ways that you could combine your passions, your purpose, and your potential. And I invite you to just, go a little bit crazy. You don't have to commit to any of these things. Just scribble down heaps of different things. And often it's when you're doing this wildcard 20 exercise that you do find that awesome wild card that actually ends up being, this great thing that you want to explore. I'll give you an example. I had a client who had a real strength for selling online tech products and a passion for interior design. And the problem she wanted to solve was that of mass consumption and sort of that external image, and how we tend to just go through so many products and so many things. And she is now on her way to launching an online interior design business which sells repurposed furniture. So how awesome is that? She's combined her 3 Ps in a really unique and awesome way for her. And she's now so excited and so energized about that. Okay, so step 5 is go out and play. I think this is possibly just as important as the purpose step. And this is about going out and playing and just bloody having an awesome time, just trying out a whole bunch of new stuff and using your 3 Ps or your Venn diagram, or particularly even that sweet spot, to help guide where you go out and try new stuff. Because if you don't try new stuff, then you're not going to know if it works for you or not. And, if you love writing, start a blog. If you love the outdoors, try a rock climbing course or go on a outdoor red camp. If you love the water, get your skipper's ticket or do your scuba ticket. If you need a good scuba dive instructor, my husband can help you out with that as well. And if you love being creative, just start making something. Get painting or make that crocheted scarf. I don't know what you like, but just try a whole heap of different stuff and see what works for you. Join an online course. There's so many awesome free courses that you can do out there in the areas that you love. Check out podcasts in the areas of interest to you. Audio books, go and chat to people in the industry in the areas that you love. Go to events. Whatever you do, taste that sweet stuff. So find that sweet spot and then just taste all those little bits and pieces that you can. But whatever you do something, and whatever you do, start. Because if you don't start, then you won't know what actually works for you and what lights you up. And if you need some help on getting started, I've got some great programs for you to help you take the next step. Because if you've got that little bit of a sense about what direction you might want to head in, but you're not really sure how to start, or you need someone to maybe help just guide you along the beginnings of it and hold your hand or keep you accountable. So the first program is Limitless, and this program is for those that need some clarity and direction on their idea. So this program challenges you to think big and to think differently and to expand your mindset. So this will get you really clear on what your dreams are for you and to think really clearly about what they are. So that's the Limitless program, and I've got a special offer on that at the moment. So check out the services tab on my website if you want to learn more about that, or just reach out to me. The second program that we've got is Unearthed, So if you're still not 100% sure what your thing is, check out the full Unearthed program. I absolutely love this program, and this reveals what your thing is. So that thing that brings together your passion, your purpose, and your potential. And this is where I sit really closely with you side by side, and we work out what you're really good at, what you're actually passionate about, and what is that cause that drives you in this world. What's that thing that you just want to help the world solve and make a difference on? So I would invite you to check that program out. And the lucky last is Unleashed. So for those who know what their thing is and they're ready to take action and bring their idea to the world, but they're just not sure how to start, then Unleashed is for you. It helps you get all those right building blocks in place in order to get your idea off the ground and out into the world. So if it's a business idea, then it's putting all those right building blocks in place in order to make sure it's ready to go and you're ready to sell your service or your product or whatever it is. So they're the 3 products: Limitless, Unleashed, and Unearthed. I invite you to check out some more information, or just give me a call or reach out to me if you want to hear more. And they're the 5 steps. So I hope that you got some value, or at least it got your mind thinking as to some different directions that perhaps you haven't thought about before. And if I guess that there's one thing that you can really take away from this program, and that's think about what energizes you. So when you go out and you play and you taste a whole heap of sweet stuff, what energizes you and what lights you up? Just come back to the drawing board and reflect on that stuff. And I really, really hope that you do find your thing, because when you find it, it's pretty awesome and you'll never look back. So yes, that's it. If you want to get in touch with me, my email is on my website. Otherwise, you can check me out on Instagram or on Facebook under Emma Campbell Coaching. And I would love to hear from you, any feedback on this course or anything else that you'd like to learn. And until then, I hope that you are working towards finding a career and a life that you love. Thanks so much. Bye.